So, welcome everyone to episode 6 of Manked Meets. Today we have no other than No One's Perfect, aka Chris Archie. So, Chris, do you want to say hello?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
No worries. And would you like to give a brief explanation as to who you are?
Oh, okay. I might answer a question in this. I'll try to keep it very quick.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm a Canadian, 26, living in the UK, coming from a history of playing RuneScape for as long as I can remember, and eventually got into content creation on YouTube, a little bit of Twitch, mostly YouTube, and that kind of landed me a foot in the door for the company that makes RuneScape, and so now I work for Jagex, and here we are.
Awesome. So, how did you get into it then?
Yeah, so I had a bunch of friends at school that played. It was grade, I want to say maybe nine. I think I was just starting high school, and I had a group of friends, and they all played quite a bit. I didn't play. I actually thought they were kind of nerdy, so I was like, haha, losers. And then they got me hooked on it, and I was like, okay, actually, this game's amazing. And then they stopped playing, and I was like, well, I'm not going to stop. So,
Okay.
um, yeah.
So, would you say you were the noob of the group at the beginning then?
I was definitely the noob of the group. We did PK trips, and oh, it was terrifying. Yeah, it was great.
Did you did the majority of the things you did on RuneScape was that all PKing, or did you do any like PVMing or skilling, or did you just primarily PK?
Yeah, I mean, this is really fun. Actually, I'm thinking back like 10 years or whatever it's been now. That's crazy. That's such a long time. Okay, so when I first got into it, I spent a lot of time in free to play. I'd say about a year. I built up my account as a bit of a range tank, and then I brought it to the lesser demons on Karamja. I spent a ridiculous amount of time just fishing lobsters, just interacting with random people there as we were fishing together, asking somebody to make a fire. I would like bring all my gear to try to kill the fishing troll giant things to impress everybody,
Okay.
and then I'd go and kill the lesser demons like all day, get range levels, the rune meds and that was like my life. From there, I eventually got into merchanting. So I started with Big Bones and then U Logs and some other things in free to play. But that kind of got me enough to consider becoming a member. Begged my parents to become a member. They paid for it for like a month. And I was like, oh my God. First thing I did was Castle Wars, I think. I kind of built up my account to the point where I had probably some really embarrassing gear, but I was obsessed with Castle Wars, and I played that competitively. As competitively as it got. There were several different worlds. It was usually 302, I believe, or just World 2. And I joined a Castle Wars clan. We were really good. Um, and then I got into clanning as a whole. I joined a clan called Wicked Fury. We were really good. That was so much fun. That was like probably the most fun I've ever had in RuneScape. Actually, I really enjoyed that. We just did clan wars. It was safe, but
Okay.
it was great. And then that kind of inspired my desire to get into PvP a bit. So from there, I went to fight pits, which is obviously still safe, but a bit more practice on like the 1v1 element. And then YouTube, I think around that time started to kick up. So I and Mahatma and all those guys, they kind of started making videos, and I got inspired by them. And then I got into edge PKing. I could really go for like a long time with this, so we'll call it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice to like hear about this kind of stuff. So, in this present, when was the last time you played Castle Wars, for example?
Oh, okay. So I did a community event at Jagex. So we used to do these events. It was me and Ronan when he used to work for Jagex still. And so every kind of Wednesday, I think we used to do a stream. I think it was like 7 to 8 p.m. or 8 to 9 p.m. or something. So I'd finish my day, go home, make some food, come back, and then we would do something for like an hour for a stream. And sometimes we would do Castle Wars, and it was lots of fun. But Castle is one of those mini games that's just so much more fun when there's like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
It's really enjoyable to watch competitively when you have people like duos or three people, etc. on a team. But yeah.
So, would you say in the future you'd want to kind of promote Castle Wars maybe to get it more active?
So I have a few theories about this. I think Castle Wars because okay, so essentially, oh boy, I could really talk for ages. All right, so our player base, as you know, is a bit more efficiency obsessed compared to the younger generation, aka my type of player. So when I played, I just played for fun. Whereas a lot of people now, not saying they don't play for fun, in fact, it is what's fun for them, is being very efficient.
Yeah.
And that's obviously great, but Castle Wars is not an efficient task. You're not making best money per hour or anywhere close. You don't make any money. You're not making good experience per hour. You're not training like Slayer, or there's no bossing. Like it is not the current meta of OldSchool RuneScape. So it needs some really incredible justification to really deem it worth spending any time on, because it's so dated and that it hasn't changed in 15 years or whatever it's been. Nobody has any reason to go back. So really it just needs some revitalization, but I don't really think there's much potential to bring it back. I think there's like a couple of things we could consider, but the Castle Wars community is so core and like hardcore. Like I don't think they'd be very happy if we offered to make some changes. I don't really see it changing, if I'm completely honest. I see us potentially focusing on a different type of minigame. There are a few ideas that I've actually recently pitched this week to the team that was received quite well, that I'm not going to spoil. Might not go anywhere, but it is relevant. And that's all I can say, sorry.
Cool, no, that's fine. Awesome, okay. So what's the noobiest thing you've done on RuneScape?
Ooh, I was immediately jumping to my head. I was scammed a Guthan's War Spear for a leaf-bladed spear. I went through this period where I like ran home from school just to stand in Valley Gardens and merch. So I would be typing there, just like I'd merch like anything from the Infinity Boots by the Farming Patch to the Full Dragon by the North End to like the party hats and Santas to the right, and then like the barrows and the obby armors to the south. Like I remember that like the back of my hand, and I would just spend the whole evening flipping everything and making as much money as I could. And then I remember I got scammed, and I was like, oh my god, I'm actually a noob. Like I thought I was the pro here. But yeah, that stands out, I think.
Okay, if it makes you feel better, what happened to me was I bought my first ever whip after grinding fletching for ages, I think. And then someone said they're buying a Sears ring for really expensive. And then someone else said they were swapping a Sears ring for a whip. So I fell for that scam. And yeah. So if it makes you feel better, nice. I fell for that. Ditta was referring to your old videos. He had a question about it, but I kind of already had a question. So it's, what's your favourite RS moment from pre-OC?
RS moment as in if I had to pick an era?
No, so as that's the next question. So like you've got a kill on someone where you PK'd a lot, or
oh wow, that's really 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 hard. There are like several moments that really stand out as kind of like the best I could say. I think like winning a clan war was a lot of fun with my clan, because that was like we were in TeamSpeak, and it was a lot more personal. Jad, finally beating Jad, I remember it like it was yesterday. I had a Black Dehyde body, a Glory, Black Dehyde Vams, full Guthans, a Legends Cape, and a Crystal Bow, a couple of them. And that was like, that had me like, I was so scared. It was an amazing feeling. Those kind of moments really do stand out. I didn't do a ton of deep wilderness PKing because it really scared me when I was young.
okay.
Like I got shaky, and I was like, I'm just going to go back to Edgeville where I'm safe. I'd probably have to tie it to PvP Worlds, actually. I'm going to go with this one. Yeah, I'm going to say PvP Worlds. When those came out, what really boosted my channel in the beginning, what made me jump like double in subscribers in a week, was I committed myself to doing these things called marathons, where I just made a video every single day of PKing. It wasn't incredible clips. I just took every single kill that I got and then put it into a montage and uploaded it that evening. I was working with really, really, really bad internet and a bad computer. So what I would do is get home from school, PK for about an hour to 2 hours, take all those clips, edit them for the next hour or two, find good, music and whatever. And this was in like Sony Vegas 9. And then I would start the render. The render wouldn't finish until overnight. So I had to do that overnight. I would wake up the next morning, upload it to YouTube. It wouldn't be ready to upload to YouTube because the internet was so bad until I got home from school. And then I would hit upload on that previous day's video and then start to work the next day. So I did that for like a month. I did that several times for like a few different months. And that was like the pinnacle of my YouTube career. That was the turning point, I think.
Okay. That's like a full 24-hour production, isn't it? That's crazy.
I loved it. Yeah.
Okay, so favorite era was that the PvP Worlds when they came out, or when was your favorite era?
Yeah, I think Favorite era? Oh, it's really tough because I really, really did appreciate Chaotix when they came out. I'll admit I didn't play much Dungeoneering. I just leeched. I leeched to like 90. I got all the Chaotix. But I loved them all. Like my one defense peer with a Chaotic Maul was so OP. That was so fun. I'll never forget that. Um, Similarly, I would say I I really enjoyed hybriding back in the day. It's nothing like hybriding is now. There was nothing as four-way and one tick or anything like that. It was
Yeah.
like two-way switches. What I would do was these full rune, so like rune plate, rune legs, rune kite with like a Zerker helm, Aram's top and bottom, and a whip, and an ancient staff. And I would do these death matches with like anybody. So that was done a lot on Zybez, and that was for like just reputation purposes, really, just kind of bragging rights and keeping a record of who you've killed and taking screenshots and then posting to embarrass them and all that. That was a lot of fun. I was actually okay at that, but it didn't take much skill.
Fair enough. Okay. How did you find the last Devon Mode season, and what did you get up in it?
Yeah, so the last Deadman season was the first one I played since the first ever season of Deadman, which wasn't really intended to be a season. That was kind of, I think, what 45 is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually decided to play it because we have finally managed to get it to a point, which I'm really proud of, where you can play on a somewhat level playing field, even if you don't book off days off of work or school. So, the locks on experience and such.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of finish work. I would admittedly be doing a little AFK work while I was at work. So I'd be like chopping trees. Nobody killed me while I was chopping trees, which was great. And then I would get home and then do the actual work. So I would get on the Slayer tasks. I spent a lot of time at the Blue Dragons. That was my game plan. It wasn't the most efficient. It wasn't the meta or anything like that. It's just that's what I enjoy the most. So I got my agility up to 70, obviously, ran to the Blue Drags, farmed those for days, like literally days, made tons of money, really enjoyed that, got my range up, my mage up. And then I finally decided to do a little bit of questing and head out and try PKing without a scout or anything like that. It was just me, like no friends, nobody to call for backup. A couple times I did PM Ian as like, yo, come help me. But he didn't come and I didn't need it. But yeah, so I got like 4 or 5 like really good kills on guys in Mystic, like proper 1v1s, which was really nice. I remember one of them, I think one of my fights was just west of the Gnome Village. It was in the middle of absolutely nowhere, like kind of by the Hill Giants. And I ran into a guy that was identical gear, no team, no nothing. It was just me and him, solo Deadman players, battling it out. And it was just like, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
I did die, and that's inevitably when I stopped playing. But I'd already commit a lot of time to it, and it was leading up to the tournament, and I knew that I wasn't going to have the spare time that I had previously. So, you know, so yeah, I ran into a team in multi. I was killing a guy at East Drags. No, it was kind of the what are they called? I don't know. North Dragon, the Green Dragons above the zombie area.
Yeah, just mid drags. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So I was PKing there. I killed a lot of people there. A lot of people who didn't deserve to die. But I started to kill a guy, and I would have killed him. Literally, I would have killed him, but he managed to hide behind a tree, and then his team came and tagged me, and then he got in the fall in, and I realized he called his whole team on me. I was like, buddy, if this was a 1v1, I win. So I was already good. I had my escape. I had my chaos talisman. I was convinced none of them knew that I would have that, but I accidentally crossed a multi-line when I was running there, and they all just killed me. So.
Okay, I think that's the multi-line that Abyss ran through when he died for everything.
It was so. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Did you record any of it, or was that just all for fun?
I did. I honestly I don't like editing anymore. I recorded all of it. I have all the clips. I really could just throw it together and upload it, even though it'd be a season late. And I might do. It's just I don't know. I've kind of moved on from making videos. I don't enjoy it as much as I used to, obviously. So yeah, and I kind of feel like because I haven't uploaded to YouTube in so long, it's been like a year or something. I feel like my next upload needs to be really, really impressive. Otherwise, people are going to be like, "You left for a year, and this is what we get."
Yeah, true.
So I feel like if I did upload that, it's just going to be kind of a half-assed edit, and it's not going to impress anybody.
Okay.
So
And yeah, people might surprise you. To be fair, you might get an overwhelming amount of people that saying, "Chris, we want that video." Um,
Yeah, maybe. It's just I can't commit to like getting back into video making.
yeah.
And I don't want to get people's hopes up or anything.
Okay, that's fair enough. When did you start YouTube?
I started YouTube 2007, I believe. YouTube came out 2005. I remember watching it for all the, the viral videos of cats and that, and that's all it was. There wasn't really any gaming when it first came out.
Yeah.
It was around the same time I started playing RuneScape, I believe. So um, that's when I started to get to watch like iCastRI and that. Before YouTube, I actually uploaded videos to like FileFront and other video website sharing platforms. Um, I don't even know if FileFront is a thing anymore, or if it's even safe. Don't go there, but that's what we use. Or like Mega Upload or whatever the websites were that you could upload videos to, and then you would post them. I would post them to Zybez, where people would comment on them. That was the PKing community, and they were super judgmental, like very, very critical. So I got a lot of feedback on those, not very positive. And then I got on YouTube, and people started to call me a YouTube hero, which I'm sure nobody will remember, maybe like one person. But like it was a demeaning term that basically meant like, what, you think you're famous because you're on YouTube and you have some subscribers? You think you're better than us? I don't know. It was really negative. So people thought it was like an insult. I'm like, that's not really very insulting. I'm okay
Yeah.
with it. So I just kept on going on YouTube, and then I blew up like pretty quickly. And then all those guys, back on the other website were kind of like, I think a little resentful. I think a little bit. I'm not sure, but suddenly I made a lot of enemies just from making videos on YouTube. People who just didn't like me. So, yeah.
Okay.
But I started, I think, 2007.
Cool. Um, so earlier you mentioned that you've kind of stopped enjoying editing. So
Yeah.
is that kind of what pushed you to join Jagex, or what were your kind of motives for working at Jagex?
It just got really, really repetitive. So YouTube for me, it got to the point where I realized what the optimal, like the most efficient thing for me to be doing was, and that wasn't making my own content, rather promoting other people's content. Obviously, with the Chris Archie prods and the top tens, that's where I really started to excel. And because it was my job, like I had a mortgage and everything, I had to obviously do things that would be making me the most money.
Yeah.
I did turn down a lot of like sponsorship opportunities and such. I'm not like looking for my karma or anything, but it wasn't that I was selling out in trying to make the most money possible. It was that I was still sticking to things that I wanted to make and was proud of, and kind of stuck to my guidelines, my own personal guidelines, and keeping my subscriber base happy. And I did keep them really happy, which was great. But as such, it felt less personal because it wasn't my content anymore. And when I would post my content, I was like, I can spend 4 hours trying to make a PK commentary, and it'll get like 100K views. Or I can spend 40 minutes making a prods video featuring other people's clips, and it'll get 300K views, right? So eventually, it got to the point where I was just focusing on trying to make other people's content look great in these videos, which I really, really did enjoy. Genuinely, I loved that. That was my passion. But it did eventually get to the point where it was very repetitive. Um, like I've already said, lost the kind of personal touch, and I wanted to do something else. There were other things as well that just made me feel insecure about YouTube. Um, Things such as like CPM drops, things that we're seeing now with random videos getting demonetized for absolutely no reason. YouTube's just really out of touch with their creators, and I knew that was coming, and it was already starting. Um, so that really worried me, especially because I had bills and everything. I wanted to get something that was much more stable and secure, and a guaranteed salary coming in on a monthly basis. And lastly, I think the thing that I'll say about YouTube was that there was a lack of human interaction. It was just me in my room all day.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to other content creators. I didn't really do other collaborations. It was just me. And I really wanted to actually be able to make friends and talk to people. So coming over to Jagex, working in an office next to people, and actually talking to real life people was so much more enjoyable. Yeah, I think kind of blocking yourself out from society for a period of like 5 years can be kind of damaging, depending on what kind of person you are, and it doesn't always have a great effect. So I really appreciated, getting to make friends for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. Like, if you're going to be doing, if you're going to be streaming or doing YouTube full time, you need to have that separation of your life and then working. So that's a
Definitely.
really good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking about kind of like making friends at work and stuff, what's the atmosphere like at work?
It's really positive. Like the team as a whole, I talked about this the other day actually with a friend, who's not in the whole gaming thing, and I was saying like I'm not stressed out at all. Like other people have a lot of work stress, and you get the occasional bitching on like a night out, and I'm like I really don't have anything to rant about. Like, obviously there are some parts of my job that I enjoy more than others, but I don't have anything in particular that I dislike. And you could say that like I have to say that because people are going to be like, well, you wouldn't say that you still work there, and someone from Jagex might watch this video, but it's true. And the thing is, when I joined the team, there were only, I think, 4 other people on the team, and now there's like 24. So it's a little bit less like a really tight knit family. Now it's like that, but just a lot more people. And we're also significantly more productive. When I first joined Jagex, I had an idea of what I was doing. I had responsibilities and everything, but there was a lot more time to kind of, look at things and refocus and spend more time kind of designing, etc. Whereas now things are on a much more strict kind of basis, and things need to be delivered by X dates and so forth, which is much better for me. I work much better like that. So it's gotten better, just a lot busier.
Okay. So do you want to kind of describe like a day in the life as if you're at work, like what you do, what
Yeah,
you do on a daily basis?
yeah, for sure. I'll try to run you through today, but there's going to be a few things I don't know if I can talk about.
Okay.
Um, let me just rewind a bit. Trying to think of what I've run into. Okay, so mainly today I'm sorting out. First of all, there's this thing I'm doing with Deadman with you that you already know about. I can talk about this, I think. So I want to do interviews for you guys playing on stage at the next Deadman. I'd like to improve the initial experience as you're watching a Deadman. So it's not me walking over and interviewing you guys and asking you guys a few questions. I'd like to get like a more custom VT package with video. So the idea was essentially to hire an outsourced video team and then drive around on a bit of a road trip around the UK.
Okay.
And that would be to people playing on stage. So yourself, Curtis, Skill Specs is playing on stage, and Ian, as well as Robert.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just kind of working with the team for that. We want to get that stuff all done, edit into a nice video montage that we can play before the next Deadman. In addition to that, mostly right now, there was something big. It took a while, and it's going to take a lot more time, but I can't talk about it. Sorry, I know that's really annoying.
It's fine. It's fine.
The other big thing today, and as of late as a whole, is Runefest. So I'm yet to get my invitations out to content creators. As you know, it's kind of something that I've done since starting at Jagex. So the first Runefest that I did with content creators, I invited, I think, 7 to 10 people tops. Last year I did 20 people. That was overwhelming because I was also hosting Runefest. I was hosting and organizing the Deadman tournament at Runefest. I was doing a little bit of work with the Golden Gnomes. I did an influencer Q&A, and the week before that, I was in the Deadman Mansions with you,
Yeah.
which meant I had no time to actually prepare myself. So that week as a whole was like easily the most stressful week of my life. But this time around, I think I get to just focus on the content creators. So currently, I'm looking at a list of about 40 people, and that's ranging from like tier 1 to 2 to 3 content creators, and offering things such as a free ticket, or maybe free ticket and a hotel, or that and a flight, and or that and also like organizing like a meal with everybody, or like a sit down session where we can talk and brainstorm about ideas and all these things related to Runefest. There's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the main thing right now.
Fair enough.
Trying to, there's gonna be a couple of things. I'm really bad with remembering this stuff, but mostly I do a lot of events. I've already mentioned the PvP arena, so I know I can talk about that. There's a lot of work going on there. I can't really get into the specifics, but it's a piece of content that we'd like to offer, and I'd really like to flesh out like a really polished presentation that we can get to the community so that they can actually properly understand what we're trying to offer with it. I did explain it very briefly in a Q&A stream a couple weeks back, but I didn't do it justice. I did like a quick 1 minute summary, and there were a lot of questions, and I was like, you know what, I really should have put something more polished together and then pitched it. But I do a lot of design, which is what I really, really, really do enjoy. It's not my job, it's not one of my responsibilities, but that's kind of one of the things that I really appreciate about Jagex is whenever there's some new content coming up, everybody in the team gets a voice. And if your idea is really good, we go forward with it. So seeing a lot of my ideas make their way into Theater of Blood was really, really rewarding. That's probably my favorite thing I've ever done.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think I don't think people understand kind of how much you guys do on a daily basis. Um, so it's nice to hear like the different activities you guys get up to, and that's a really cool work feature as well, isn't it?
Yeah, when I joined Jagex, I did get a lot of slack. There was a lot of people that were like, "What do you do? We don't know what you do. You're just getting paid to do nothing." The thing is, like anybody who's worked a real job knows that that's not how things work. You have deliverables, you have targets, you have bosses, you have people who will fire you if you're not doing your job. So it's like I'm still here nearly 4 years later. Believe me, I'm doing my job. I think I'm doing it well. That's all I need to say. I don't really need to justify myself,
Yeah.
but I'm more than happy to talk about what I can talk about, as I genuinely am passionate about what I get to do.
Yep. Okay, that's fair enough. So a quick one. Do you play much RuneScape out of work?
Not really at the moment. I'm not really playing any, to be honest. I'm spending a lot of time just going out, relaxing, enjoying the weather. Kind of doing a bit of like reading right now. I play a lot of football, so whenever I get that as an opportunity, or I'll like go to the gym after work or something like that. So, uh, the thing with RuneScape is, when you're working with it and around it for 9 hours, sometimes you don't want to go home and spend the rest of your night playing it.
Yeah.
I do love the game. I do still play occasionally. I'll go on for like a quick bounty hunter trip on my pure. I go through spurts where I really enjoy Bridding on my main. But at the moment, I'll just do like a little bit of AFK splashing or Nightmare Zone while I'm trying to get some work done. That's about the extent of it at the moment.
Okay. So you said you don't really play any other games as well in evenings, but do you keep up with other games?
Uh, a little bit. It's kind of part of my job as well, being in like esports and competitive gaming as a whole, to adapt and learn and see where we can improve. So I do get to go to a fair amount of events. Recently, I was at ESL One Birmingham, which was a massive Dota 2 tournament. So I got to go there. I did a bit of a talk, and then I just kind of took it all in. We work with ESL a lot. I don't know how many people know of ESL, but I think they're like the biggest competition runner in the games industry. We work with the team in Leicester. They're really, really great guys. We love working with them. You've met them obviously a
Yeah.
bunch. So yeah, they kind of like take me behind the scenes. We look at things that they might run into as problems, or things that we think we might be able to improve our shows or our future shows as we eventually start to grow and do things more than just Deadman's, or maybe make Deadman a bigger thing than it is now, and what we need to do to get there, and all those elements. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
So as far as that, that's the extent of my watching other games or playing
Okay.
other games.
Okay, cool. So we're about coming up to 30 minutes in, so I don't want to make this too long of an episode.
Dude,
Oh,
I'm really enjoying this. I could do this for
good.
like 4 hours.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. So with Ian, it lasted for about an hour and a half, but I think that put off a lot of people because people saw the time and were like, "Oh no, I don't want to watch it."
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Just kind of rambling.
but no, okay, so I'll ask you kind of two quick more questions from me, and then move on to the Twitter questions. But the first one is just a kind of a general. You don't have to elaborate really, but is there a future for PvP in RuneScape? Do you believe?
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. There are some things that I think need to happen, as we've already talked about with the polling system. And there's a lot that, yeah, there's a lot that I think needs to be done, and there's a lot that we want to do. The problem is it's a lot more difficult. It's a lot different from Deadman. I think I was recently talking to Ian Mary about this. So I've got a Deadman Discord set up with several kind of big names in Deadman.
Yep.
It's kind of what I'm calling the Deadman Council, kind of unofficially. So I like to kind of gather feedback from those guys, including yourself, and talk about where we can improve Deadman, because we don't have to pull anything with Deadman. I'd love to do the same with PvP as a whole, and talk to the top PvPers, people that represent different communities in PvP, and so forth. But we really do need some really strong community backing to get it through a poll, of course.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been anything that is a really solid PvP idea that's, for example, not that we just use Reddit, but for example, made its way to Reddit and had 5,000 upvotes and people saying this needs to happen, right? It's more very small communities coming together and then kind of adding me on Twitter saying you need to do this. And I'm like, okay, I might agree personally, or someone else might, trying to remain unbiased, but we need to make sure that we appeal to the entire game and the majority of the community at least. So it's a really, really tough situation. I think the PvP arena will seriously help this. It's going to be designed by myself, as well as Aiza. Actually, fun story about that. I put together a pitch for it in a design document, and so did Aiza before he joined Jagex. And in his interview, he pitched almost the same thing with almost the same name. It was off by only like a couple different points. It's inspired by successful PvP game modes in other games, so it's nothing like terribly original. But it's kind of clear that people think this is a thing that should be in the game. So I'm really looking forward to being able to offer that to the community and see what we can do with that. I think that's going to do numbers. And I really want to improve the wilderness as a whole. Obviously, I don't want to put that into the game and then completely kill off the wilderness or PvP worlds. So there needs to be a little bit of give and take. I pitched a Bounty Hunter rework at Runefest last year. I'm not going to go too in detail, but I'd still love to do that without a doubt. I think that will absolutely revitalize Bounty Hunter and make it a kind of unique PvP spot, separating it a little bit more from PvP worlds, as well as the PvP arena. And yeah, Deadman needs to be evolved without a doubt. I'm learning more with Deadman. I think we're finally getting to the point where we're extremely proud of Deadman and where it's come and everything that it is. But people are expressing concerns saying that it needs to be drastically different each time. It's a little too repetitive for people who play it consistently every single season, as I'm sure you can vouch for.
Yeah.
So some people are saying they're really drastic, even if they're silly and kind of like ridiculous. They want the changes that might make it feel a little bit more, just kind of creative. Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot, but there is no like immediate date or something that I can share, at least at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's understandable. So I'm going to take you back to several years ago, sure, when all of your friends stopped playing RuneScape, but you carried on. What do you think you'd be doing now if you'd quit RuneScape back then? What job, for example, do you think you'd have now?
I was actually about to go to school for business admin, and like mega boring. I was gonna absolutely not like my life. And that's when the opportunity at Jagex came up. So I'd probably be in some really boring marketing place. The thing is with YouTube is I didn't actually understand how valuable it was in the real world as far as skills learned and how much companies desire people with really solid social media knowledge and influence and things of that nature. So, I didn't think I could really get a job in gaming or YouTube or anything similar. I just thought I had to go and, get a normal job. But now that is so not the case. So many companies, not just gaming companies, and not even just like marketing agencies or, companies like Twitch or YouTube, etc. So many companies look for people with things like this on their CV. It shows obviously so many desirable skills. I'm not going to bother going into detail, but essentially, yeah, I think being able to build up a following and keeping them happy for a consistent basis, understanding the way that ads work and things like that can really get you somewhere very far in so many different jobs. So, yeah, I would have eventually hopefully learned that and eventually hopefully understood that I could probably be working for something a little bit more fun, maybe at like a marketing agency. Yeah. But instinctively, I want to say I would be doing something very boring.
Okay, fair enough. So very happy with currently what you're doing, because that other life does not sound much fun.
No, not at all.
Okay, we're gonna head over to the Twitter questions. We have the wonderful Ditterbitter first of all. So he asks, do you miss full-time YouTube, and could you see yourself going back to creating content regularly?
I don't miss it. I'm a completely different person. I understand that might be like a little gutting for some people who kind of, grew up watching some of my videos. I still get recognized like quite a bit, which is really surprising because I don't make videos. But yeah, I think it's safe to say I miss the money. Like
Okay.
that's a no brainer. But I really don't miss doing the work. It's not that it was really particularly difficult. It was seriously, it was like, um, you know, at its max, it was never even like 4 or 5 hours a day. It was probably, yeah, I mean, it probably got to the point where it was like 4 or 5 days. So I kind of peaked in like 2012. And that's when I was making like 3 prods videos a day, one video for my main personal channel. I had like a Call of Duty channel and a vlog channel at the same time. It was just way too many channels and way too much content. And I might have burnt myself out a bit that year, but you know, I did enjoy that at the time, but I was a completely different person. So I've definitely matured a little bit, and as such, I guess so have my interests. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, yeah, that's understandable. Sorry, Ditter, mate. So, Sir Moses says
yeah.
you used to have a big role clanning while being in Wicked Fury pre-OC. Do you still talk to clan members, and what changes do you want to see towards clanning, if any?
I I that's really cool that you remembered that. I don't talk to anybody really at all that I've met through RuneScape, which is quite sad. Um, you know, yeah. So obviously the clan system. This is more Mod Sween's expertise. I think he's super into clanning, and he's got some really good ideas that I agree with that I'd like to see go forward. There's not a ton we can share because again, it's kind of the stuff that like a really well put together pitch for all the bases, rather than potentially leaving something uncovered. But yeah, obviously there's a lot we want to do. Um, but yeah, me as a whole, clanning was like probably some of the most fun I've ever had in the game. So
Yeah,
I'd love to see that brought back to life.
cool. Again with the YouTube, Joey asks, do you miss making the PK vids with music in the background?
Yeah, I really picking the music for those videos. And they really kind of like told a tale as I grew up of how what kind of person I was turning into. Because in the beginning, everyone was like, "Oh, he's so emo." It's like Asking Alexandria and that type of with screamo and whatever.
Yeah,
And then eventually it got into some like kind of different style music. I got to the point where yeah, I couldn't obviously use copyrighted music, so that was absolutely a struggle. Fortunately, I found a company called Monster Cat. Still recommend them. They're great. They make a lot of stuff. And I met the guy who is the CEO or founder. Um, and he was a fan of me, and I kind of helped promote him a little bit with Monster Cat as soon as it started,
okay.
with an artist called DJ Afixa. Maybe people will know him. But now Monster Cat is like one of the most successful music companies in the entire world, and they're absolutely huge. Which is amazing to say that I was like just a tiny bit of a part of that in the beginning, which was super cool. But yeah, again, I don't terribly miss making videos, but I do miss picking the music because I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, okay. That was the most difficult part for me, I think, because I'd be like, oh, I have to find a song. It has to be good, but
Yeah,
okay.
people will
Um,
judge for it. Absolutely.
oh yeah, 100%. So we did discuss this earlier. Sebastian RS asks, what does your job incorporate? Obviously, we've answered this prior. Do you want to give like
Sure.
10 word summary of kind
Yeah,
of what you do?
just real quick TLDR. My current title is esports influencer manager, or vice versa, something like that. And essentially, I'm just looking after content creators as yourself. Kind of coming from being a full-time content creator for this game.
Yeah,
I'm fortunate in that I've been able to build a pretty good relationship with a lot of you guys, and I have a really good idea of what you'd like as far as support and things that I'd like to be able to offer you. There's so much more that I'd love to be able to do for everybody. I'd love to like say, as soon as you're a content creator that hits X amount of followers, we send you a crazy 5,000 pound streaming setup with this decked out PC and whatever, and whatever, and just kind of make things as ideal as possible so that anybody that has the energy and the passion and the creativity to try to make it as a content creator can. That it really kind of all stemmed from, I think, just kind of personally looking into content creators getting harassed, a lot of ragging and such.
Yeah.
As soon as that was happening, it wasn't really anybody's job, I think, to kind of manage that. So I kind of stepped in with some things and kind of went from there. So I was already doing the job before it was my title, and then it became a role, and it was a natural kind of, that's fantastic. I really hope I get to work on that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then the esports thing is, competitive gaming as a whole. Yeah, that's at the moment pretty much just dead man, but there's so much more for the future. Specifically 2019, I think is going to be huge. But yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
cool. What are the main things you like/dislike about the UK and Canada after having lived here for quite a while? Asks Anzu.
Okay, this is a really good question. All right, so recently I went back to Canada and I had Tim Hortons, which is obviously like the trademark of Canada. You have to get it like every day. Tim Hortons is like a cafe. They do like donuts and coffees and that, and you're pretty much raised on it as a Canadian.
Okay.
So I went back recently and I tried the coffee and it wasn't as good as I remembered. And I found out, I think, that the guys who used to make the coffee didn't sign with Tim Hortons for another year, and McDonald's actually came in and bought the rights to that coffee to sell it. And then now apparently McDonald's has the best coffee in Canada, and Tim Hortons isn't that great anymore. And I'm like, oh no, that's horrible news. So this is not the answer to the question. But yeah, I would say I miss Tim Hortons, but I guess I don't now.
Okay.
I miss the bigger roads for sure. Driving in London specifically is absolutely a nightmare. I love roundabouts. I honestly think that the UK's road system, as far as roundabouts go, is so much better than having to stop and start. Sometimes in like North America, you'll pull up to a red light. There are no cars anywhere around you, but you still have to sit there and stop your car and then restart. Like that's just roundabout. You don't stop. You just go. Everything's more expensive here. Petrol is ridiculous. People are generally very friendly. I love pubs. Sorry, the pub culture in the UK isn't something that you find in Canada. There are a lot of sports bars, but it's not the same as pubs. Food, in my opinion, is better in Canada, but maybe a bit healthier over here. Okay. They focus a lot more on freshness here, whereas frozen food in Costco and such in Canada. But yeah, that's mostly it.
Okay, it's a nice summary of a lot of different stuff. That's cool. Coda again asks, any thoughts on Ditterbitter? We got a lot of Ditterbitter theme in here.
Yeah, I think he's an up and comer. I think with time he's gonna make some big moves in the content creator scene if he keeps it up. He's grown pretty quickly, and he's very active, specifically active on Twitter, which I think is good. Okay. So yeah, I'd say keep up with the creative ideas. The stuff that you're doing as well. The stuff that isn't the same as what everybody's been doing for 10 years. Your typical PK commentaries. Find ways to really innovate and surprise people. Things that haven't been done. That's really tough. There's a lot of competition, but I've seen a few of his videos and they look really good.
Cool. He's gonna be very, very happy with that.
I know he's like obsessed with me.
He literally is. Okay. Boss Twang says, what personal ideas would you like to implement for PvP content?
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, so when I'm on the Q&As and stuff, I try really hard to remain unbiased and kind of suggesting things that I know not everybody will agree with. Okay. So personally, I think high-level birding needs something. If I had the choice, nobody could stop me. I would change high-level birding. And what I mean by that is the AGS to Granite Mall combo in specific. I know a lot of people comment on it and saying, yeah, but it really never happens. It's like a 1 in a million thing that you spec a 70 plus 40 and get the one-hit KO. I get that, but realistically, I'm a big fan of if you are better than somebody in every way, you shouldn't have any chance at all to die to them. And PvP is always going to be something in our game that's going to have RNG, and that's kind of the beauty of it. Everybody loves seeing a 40-40 spec, even if the guy maybe doesn't deserve it. You could be absolutely getting slaughtered in a fight and then bust out a 75 AGS and win the fight. That's the beauty of RuneScape, and it's it comes and goes. It happens to you, and then you get to do it to somebody else. It's like staking. I'd really like to be able to emphasize skill, and add more of a highlight or a platform somewhere for the guys that are the kind of top percentile best PKers in the game to really shine. That's why we did the PvP championship last year,
Yep.
as you're well aware of. I really want to just kind of create something where we can showcase how amazing some of the PKers are in our game, because you have people like Wooks who really stand out for PVM, and everybody's able to admire him and watch how crazy he is. There isn't that for PvP, and there are people of Wooks' stature in PVM in PvP.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a lot of toxicity in PvP that we definitely want to do our best to kind of tackle and get rid of, but definitely want to try to make names like Wooks common names for top PvPers.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Yeah.
Matt Archie asks, what PK item from pre-OC would you add to 07 without polls? And what's your favourite kill from memory?
I don't really have a favorite kill from memory. I think, maybe I do. No, I only just PK'd in AGS like late last year when I was actually Briting and getting back into old school. That was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy that. So that kill, I think. I don't even really remember where it was. So I guess it's not that memorable. But oh yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna say like the first time that I managed to win through pure skill a hybrid fight, getting back into old school against somebody that was decent, like a reasonably skilled hybrid opponent, and I was pulling off 4-way 1-ticks, and I was like, I remember watching the clip back, and I was like, you know what? I don't even look that bad in this clip. But yeah. What was the other question?
So it was, what PK item from pre-OC would you add? So like Karasi or something?
Definitely not Karasi.
Okay.
Karasi should never come to old school, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely despised that weapon. I think the main thing that really set it apart from the other weapons, which you could consider very strong in OP, like Dragon Claws or AGS, is Karasi somebody can just kind of smack you with, and you'll never know when they're going to spec. AGS requires some skill in having to 1-tick switch and spec before the guy can pre-eat, like Shark Brew. Karasi, they could just use it anytime, and they could hit a 65 or 70. And it's you can't do anything to defend against that. It was super cheap, whereas AGS was obviously 70 mil or whatever, claws being whatever price they were. So super cheap, expendable, low requirement to use it and everything. Wasn't a big fan of it.
Okay.
Best weapons that I've ever enjoyed were probably Chaotix, because I really did enjoy PKing with Chaotix. So, sorry. Definitely take that back. PvP weapon. Definitely the Statius Warhammer and the Vesta Longsword, without a doubt.
Okay. Why was that your favorite weapon?
I just loved those. I remember making videos with all different everything PvP armor and weapon related, and I just remember having the best time of my life. It was you go out there with a D-sim and full rune, you find some pleb in Skull Darox, he's like, haha, I'll kill you. And then you're full Statius with a Vesta Longsword and you just 2-hit him. It's that's such a great feeling.
True. Okay. Okay. So Hamachi asks, what are 2 or 3 things a newbie should focus on in PvP?
I'm so not an expert to be giving advice on PvP. I would be saying just kind of let the content kind of consume you. Watch a ton of PvP streams, videos on YouTube, and just really engulf yourself in PvP. You need to get out there and just die. That sounds horrible. You need to get out there and face your first kind of death. You need to realize you're not going to win your first fight, right? You can practice as much as you want in Clan Wars. We were talking about this the other day. It's kind of you can practice with a chess bot, and you can get really good at chess. But if you come against somebody who's really good at chess and it's a real person, you're going to have this newfound pressure, and your hands might shake a little bit. You might get a little cold. Things change. So you really just need the real life experience. Get out there, get in a couple fights. And that's not great. Nobody really wants to have to waste a couple $100K just to learn the fundamentals. So that's kind of one of the things that PvP Arena would be able to really get around, not costing you anything at all to enjoy a really high level PvP fight, but with still holding the pressure that it has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a date for the PvP Arena to be coming out, or is that all in the future?
We don't have a date yet that I can share.
Okay.
It is still being worked on very much so. There's a lot. There's there's a lot more to making something, especially a large scale update such as this, that a lot of people don't, I think, understand or can't really understand. You really need to like work here and work with the teams and everything and understand the way that things work and the way that they're developed and the limitations with things like the engine, and resourcing and all that stuff. But ideally, before the end of the year, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So Pept asks, do you feel English yet?
Not really, no. So my accent isn't English. It's also not terribly Canadian because I don't say a. I don't say like a boot or hoose or anything like really hardcore Canadians. I have family who do, and you might not believe it, but there is a heavy contrast between our accents. So
Okay.
I find that now I just kind of I have the sayings occasionally. So like when I get drunk, I'll say like "You all right," which is obviously a British saying. Canadians don't say that because that just sounds like you're asking somebody why they look sick. Um, but yeah, I've really just kind of got this like 90% Canadian, 10% weird British accent now. I wouldn't even say 10%. It's like 1%.
Okay, fair enough.
Like it's a weird hybrid.
Okay, the last question is from Stale Frybread, and he asks, how much are you into fitness at the moment?
Oh yeah, I was hoping you're gonna ask this. So I'm cutting right now, which is surprisingly really fun. It's the first time I've done like a serious cut, and I've been doing this for about close to 3 months now, probably, and I'm down like a lot. I'm also losing strength and everything, of course, but it's like my first time ever like, really trying to get proper lean.
Okay.
I think we're going for the whole ripped for Runefest vibe right now. So we'll have to see. I'm absolutely loving it. I went through a period early this year, late last year, where I was getting into powerlifting and trying to deadlift big numbers and all those things, and that was really really enjoyable. But now it's kind of the complete opposite. It's just a really fun hobby that me and a few people at work do together.
Cool. How many years have you been lifting and all that stuff?
I think it's about 4 years now. I think it was 4 years in March. I wouldn't say I'm an accurate representation of something that's achievable in 4 years. I think you could do significantly better. Anybody really could. There's a lot to do with genetics and such, but it's like my diet has been really, really bad. I've just kind of lifted because I enjoy it.
Okay.
I'm very consistent, so I don't really miss days. I've had a couple of injuries. I've got a pinched nerve in my back from deadlifting, and my knee's not fantastic from squatting. And that was from when I was getting into powerlifting. So now I'm kind of taking it a bit easier. Making it sound like I'm like a really good lifter. I'm definitely not. People like Foe, like Paul, for example, absolutely put me to shame. So yeah, but it is a lot of fun. It's definitely, I think, next to football or soccer,
Okay.
it's my next most favorable like thing to do in my spare time.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And then, so for football, you play once a week, I'm going to assume?
So I play. We do a casual Jagex five-a-side match every Wednesday, which I get
Okay.
to play tonight. And that's quite casual. People are of a certain standard. I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. And then we have a more, I don't want to say professional, but a better team that we have with a lot of the Jagex guys. And that one we recently played a tournament in Wembley. We placed second out of 20 teams. We only lost in penalty shootouts. Actually, we really should have won the tournament.
Wow.
But that's like the coolest thing for me. That's super surreal. I'm at Wembley. I won an autographed Arsenal shirt, which is my team. So that was really cool. It's like my favorite thing to brag about. But yeah, absolutely love it, and I really really appreciate that Jagex has created that kind of window for me to get back into sports. The guys are really good.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. Okay, well, yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. I'm trying to think of ways that people can comment to show that they've kind of made it the whole way, and you might hate me for this, but I'm gonna say, if you made it this far, can you put a happy birthday to Chris in the comments?
I don't even know why this meme is a thing.
Neither do I, but I'm just running with it. But yeah, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come on this show. How did you find it? Was it okay?
I really really enjoyed it, dude. I would do this again like a million times.
Cool.
It was really good.
Awesome. That's obviously what we want to hear. Thank you guys so much for watching. So Chris if you want to say goodbye to everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, you find me lovely, interesting. So unlucky, and hopefully the next guest is a very interesting person. Okay. Thanks for watching.
Again, much love to Chris for doing this interview with me. If you guys want to check out other YouTubers and streamers that have done this, check out my channel, and have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for watching All This Way.